Welcome into the OBR streaming network. This is Things I Think I Know About the Cleveland Browns. My name is Brad Ward. Hope you guys are all doing well on a Friday evening, August 1st. Hard to believe, huh? Here we are, August already. Let's check some things real quick since we've been having our technical difficulties of late. Um, If anybody's in the chat, holler at me. Let me know what's going on with the audio. Make sure we're sounding good here on our end of things. I think we may have figured some things out, at least hopefully. Day 8 in the books out at training camp today. Kenny Pickett was a participant in individual drills. Thanks, guys. DeAndre, Jacob. Appreciate you guys letting me know. Yeah, Pickett back today. So, we're going to talk about this, what this means for things moving forward. But Pickett back with his hamstring. Not fully he's a partial participant or limited participant in practice today. I think that means just individual drills. Browns made a move today. They claimed Sebastian Gutierrez, who I believe he had a brief stop here before. Sorry, guys, I'm running around today. Just got here late, so putting this one together in the moment. But yeah, I believe he was here before, but claimed off of waivers from 49ers. So Sebastian Gutierrez, I believe he was a UDFA in 22. I'm going to check on that. Adding some a depth body to the offensive line. And yeah, so bring him in. Yeah, Kenny Pickett participated in some individual drills, but did not do team drills. As he ramps back up from the hamstring injury, which sidelined him for 3 practices. Now, whether or not he will be ready for yeah, he was on the practice squad for the Browns last year. Thank you, Jacob. He whether he's ready for joint practices, I guess that'll be kind of telling. Stefanski, it's Mitts for the first time that Flacco is in the lead in this thing. But not, ruling out any other surges ahead by Pickett. Listen, here's the thing I want to talk about tonight. Like, we've been talking on this show a lot that I thought that the competition was kind of over. But I'll say this the rookies, the more they are giving the rookies to deal with, and by all accounts, another pretty good day from both guys. The more they are giving them, the more they are responding. They are both taking what is being thrown at them. Excuse me. Allergies are brutal here in Ohio. Yeah, I'm with you. Fumble. I would be flabbergasted as well at this point. I think it would take. There's just not enough time. Once again, there's just not enough time to get them all the way there. And that doesn't mean they won't start the season, because I think they will at some point. I don't think you're getting 17 games from Joe Flacco, but I do think you're probably there. I'm hoping for 6 to 8. Because I think he gives you your best chance to win in a part of the schedule that is very strong. And I think right now he's clearly your best option. Pickett's hamstring, they weren't sure if he was going to be ready for joint practices. I mean, that's kind of a big deal right there. But I guess going forward with what Tuesday being the last, I think Tuesday is the last. Uh, let's see what we got here in the chat, and I think Flacco will provide all above average QB play. Better line scheme and running backs will be fine. I'm with you, Pat. I mean, that's the plan, right? Jacob St. Gabriel had kind of a tough day. He seemed flustered and uncomfortable. I read that somewhere. He seemed that way early on Wednesday too, but then he kind of got his feet back under him and put together a good second half of the day. There are gonna be days like that for the rookies that doesn't bother me as much. Either guy should or it's Gabriel, but I think that the main thing that my point is here tonight I want to make is the format has to change sooner than later. Like the format of the practice in general has to change sooner than later. And we'll talk about that here more in a second and get to your guys' questions. Is this a solo show now? What happens to you, partner? To your partner? Is this a solo show? It's a solo show when it needs to be, brother. When it needs to be, right? Not everybody is always ready to record on Friday afternoons, so or Friday evenings. So when it needs to be me, it's me. And when I can get my partners here, I can get them here. Yeah, four quarterbacks is way too many to give out reps. They've done I wrote this, but they've done an effective, efficient job of keeping things. Fumble misses Abby. I know. I'm sorry, Fumble. Well, I'll try to get her back as soon as possible. I ask, but we'll try to get her back on as soon as possible. Yeah, thank you, A to Z. Appreciate you being here. But you make a good point about the reps and that's kind of where I'm going with this is that it looked better. Practice looked better when there was just three quarterbacks when Pickett was gone, right? With the injury. Practice went smoother. More, reps were divvied up evenly. They all got a shot against the one defenses. They all got like 5 reps in their live session they did with tackling to the ground. So moving forward with the last open practice being, I think Tuesday, it's the 4th. Is that Tuesday, I believe? Today, yep. So yeah, no, I might be wrong. It's Monday. So I think Monday is then maybe the last practice open to the public because then they will go to Carolina for the joint practices. After that, I can't imagine this continuing, right? Like now we will get some, there will be practices open to the media at some point, but it's shut down to the public at that point. And I just think that going forward from there, you have to pivot to here's our starter, here's our backup, you know, this is our depth chart, and reps need to be starting to sprinkled in accordingly. Like you got to get ready for week 1. You've got to start. It's been too long. You have to turn and pivot away from this competition or whatever it's been to this point, this derby to this point, and push towards the season. My concern is wasting 6 to 8 weeks on Pickett, giving him limited games for Sanders and Gabriel this year. I wouldn't be concerned about that. Listen, like I don't think that I am not concerned about Pickett in this scenario. A to Z, I'm not. I think that once they make this pivot towards whatever the season is going to look like, and most likely that's Flacco starting. Does Chase Coda have a chance to make the practice squad rookie of the year? I don't. No, Drew. 6'4", coming into camp late. I'm not sure what will happen with him. Um, exactly, Pat. Let me see what Muffum said. I know there are rules to practice time. And are the rules for the joint practices, can they practice for, say, 3 hours? No, I know there's limited time to that as well. So all of this stuff is they have to follow the CBA guidelines. So I guess what I'm saying is that um, they'll all get an opportunity, I think, against Carolina to show what they have with a focus on Flacco, right? And then after that, to Pat Shea's point, they have a plan. But for me, I think that plan takes a turn after that joint practice. And I think it's the plan then has to become this is our starter, or at the very least, this is likely our starter with this person as the only competition. But you cannot continue spreading out reps through 4 guys, even 3 guys evenly after this joint practice. The format of your practice has to change, and the emphasis of what you're doing, like they're not going to be doing installs and reinstalls anymore. It's going to be about repping the stuff that they've learned, starting to prepare for week 1. It's not that far away, guys. I think I read today cut downs is in 25 days. I'm with you, Jeffrey. The sooner he's out of here, the better. I don't see a purpose at this point. For me, he hasn't separated himself from the rookies enough to carve out a spot on this roster. Let's see what A to Z says. I'm concerned because Segura still thinks Pickett is the starter, and he usually knows. He's in that building. I mean, that's for sure. But does he know who the starter is? I don't know. If that's the way, I mean, didn't Stefanski say today that Flacco was in the lead for the first time? I thought he said verbally today. Pretty sure I read that somewhere that he came out for the first time and said that he was in the lead in this thing. Maybe they're pumping up him for trade bait. Let me bring up transcripts from Stefanski and see if he said that today. Came out and said it because, I mean, if he did, that's a big deal, right? First time saying that you know there's somebody ahead. On Kenny Pickett, when you say he's limited, does that mean he will not be doing team stuff? Correct. Yes, he said. With Kenny Pickett coming back, is there a possibility that he would be good to go by the joint team workouts next team? Yeah, I don't know. I need to see how he looks today. We're not going too far past today. Very Stefanski-like answer. Is he still fully in the quarterback competition? For sure. Yeah, kind of mentioned to you guys before. Obviously disappointed that he's not full go, but he's very, very much involved in everything we're doing. Is that injury a little easier for a guy who's been in the league? I guess maybe he didn't say it. I saw Dave Canales say that they plan on playing their starters the first couple of preseason games. That's strange, especially with the joint practice. Dave Canales being the head coach of the Panthers. Yeah, I have a pretty good feel for what we're going to do, but I want to, number one, talk to the team about it, and then also want to see how it goes over the next few days as well. Does that Carolina playing their starters force your hand? He said no. Yes, they do usually cooperate. Just trying to find if he said anything. I could have sworn I read somewhere today that he came out and said that I guess maybe I dreamed that into reality or tried to push it into reality. I don't know. I thought I read somewhere that he said that he was in the lead in this thing. Morning Coffee saying watch Shador mic'd up. So certainly did see that. He is fun. Dylan played horrible today from Chantel. No shock there. Yeah, we talked about that. He has struggled today earlier. Pat thinks they're pumping up KP for a trade. Listen, I don't know in what world they think they're going to get back. Here's the issue, right? Like there are quarterback hungry teams out there and stuff, but in what world do they think they're going to get back anything better than a fifth, even a fifth for Pickett? I just don't see it. Jeff Tucker says Gabriel looked like Andrew Siciliano trying to look over Zagura and Kozar. Very funny. Can't pump him up. Would be lucky to not have to cut him. Agreed. Yeah, I just don't know what benefit he serves at this point. If he had like kind of like taken this thing and looked really great, but to me he has looked really no better than Shador and Dylan. I mean, he's looked better than them, but just in the fact that he has more knowledge of an NFL training camp. He's been through them before as a starter. So, but he hasn't separated for me. And at that point, he becomes useless. And I'm trying not to let my bias seep through against him. But it's hard. It's hard. So yeah, I mean, A to Z, I never thought he was a very good player. When they brought him here, it made it more difficult. Yeah. Chef Brian driving Uber at the moment. Yes, that's true. If the owner picked Sanders and AB picked Gabriel and traded for Pickett, AB isn't looking. Well, the owner didn't pick Sanders. I mean, he's pretty clear about that the other day, about the way that went down. I don't believe he did. Superior processing from Gabriel. I don't know if I don't know if you're being serious or not there or whatever, but the whole like supercomputer stuff from Gabriel. Listen, Stefanski said when they drafted him that his size didn't show up on the film. I was there on Wednesday and his size showed up in just watching practice. He was high over the middle. He was inaccurate at times over the middle. But when you got him out on the boot and you moved the pocket out to the sides and he threw on the run, he was accurate and looked good. That's where I'm at. I mean, he can complete passes over the middle, but it's just so like it's like you can't see him from the defensive side if you're a receiver or a cornerback. It's just very like he has to be so excuse me. He has to be able to anticipate where the player is going to be so well. And carve up those windows to such precision. It's very difficult, but they have started to, which is part of this offense, and it lends itself to him. He is left-handed. Is that they roll him out to his left, roll him to his right, and once they get him on the move, he throws the ball well, turning his body even to his right, turning back to his left, and then going out to his left. He's very effective throwing the ball on the move. But you can't base a whole offense off just moving your quarterback out of the pocket. Anticipatory. Thank you, Chef. I know I sounded like a fool. That's what I'm saying, James. His size is showing up in camp from what I have seen. Ball's getting batted down a few times and missing high over the middle, which you just cannot do. You can't miss high over the middle as a quarterback. Anyway, so, you know, either way, he's had his good days. Shador is certainly taken to his coaching, and I have no issue. I know a lot of people are upset that Shador has not been brought along faster, but I think they brought him along at just the right speed, and he's going to get to play this year. He's going to get what I expect to be full halves, a full half in each preseason game, I would think, or at least close to it. So we're going to get to see him. And you're going to get to see Gabriel in these preseason games, in my opinion. I think it'll be those two in the preseason games for the majority. Maybe outside of a series or two. If we're going off of what Stefanski has done in the past, he would put Flacco in bubble wrap if he's your starter. Now, he's treated this camp much differently than he's treated in the past as well. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair assumption. Like I've kind of said all along that if he could get you through 6 games or 8 games and keep you competitive, and then you have to, hand it off to Gabriel or Shador, whoever has earned it to that point, which I agree with you. At this point, it would be Shador for me, but they may feel differently. We did not have many options in free agency in the drafted quarterback. They're trying to make some. Yeah, they are. I mean, the whole thing with Pickett is the reclamation project, the Geno Smiths of the world, the Baker Mayfields of the world, the Sam Darnolds of the world, the guys that got their second, third chance and it clicked for them, right? A couple years in. That's like the trend in the NFL, right? Like these guys still have talent. Now they're in a new situation. Can they take off with that talent? So they wanted to have a reclamation guy in here. For them, that was Kenny Pickett, although he shouldn't have been a first-round draft pick in the first place, in my opinion. Anyways, yeah, so yeah, he would. We've hit on that for sure. Derek, he was not good today at all. Yeah. I'll tell you, when I was there on Wednesday, he was not particularly good as a whole either. He did play better as the day went on, but he started off very poorly, and then he has had his misses. He has not been as accurate as you would think. And the accuracy comes into play once again when he's in straight drop in the pocket and he's being forced to throw over or through the line of scrimmage, which for me is his height showing up in camp. Treylon Burks got cut. Do you think we'll make a swing on him? That's tough because of the injury, Jeff. I don't know where he's at in his recovery. I believe he tore up his knee or his Achilles, one or the other. He's coming back from a really gnarly injury. So I don't know about that. Yeah, James. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. We've seen this movie before with Gabriel. So you think Barry makes 2 trades before the season starts. I think that's fair. We talked, I think Fumble, we talked about this before. I have the over under of like new players not on the roster now, making the final 53 at I had it at 2.5, but that was before Martin Emerson went down. I think I still have it at 2.5, but if it was juiced to one side, it's juiced to the other side now. Do you know what I mean? So it's like minus 150 that it's over 2.5 players new on this roster. If they can keep guys that they brought in, that they've been here, they will. But there are just certain situations. What position? Besides cornerback, yeah. So I think cornerback has to be one of them, and I think in that situation, you're looking at maybe a do-it-all guy. That may not even be the position. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at tight end 3. I'm looking at wide receiver. I'm looking at linebacker depth. I'm looking at, there's cornerback now for sure. That's 4 positions right now where I think you could upgrade. Running back, absolutely. That's 5. These are all positions where there are probably better options on somebody else's roster, on somebody else's 90-man roster. And that, to Fumble's point, if you identify one of those guys and they're going to get cut, the move is to maybe trade a late round pick, especially. So the way this works is if you're on a rookie deal, right, and you get cut, you're subject to waivers. If you're not on a rookie deal, if you're a veteran and you get cut at cut downs, you can go and sign with whoever you want. So in the Browns situation, they determine which players they think could be had by them at cut downs. They have the second pick in the waiver process. I wonder if that changed today because I know they used waivers to get Gutierrez. So I'm not sure if that changes or shifts in any way. We'll have to look into that. I'll have to ask Jack about that. But like, so, wide receiver becomes available, or we think that there's a wide receiver that's going to get cut from New England, or the same teams that I've been talking about all off season, or the Packers, right? And one of those guys that you really like, or Barry really likes, thinks it's going to, it does not change. Well, it does change. Once you use it, I'm pretty sure I'll have to look into that. Maybe I'm wrong there. Okay. The order is not affected by today. All right. Double check that, but I'll take your word for it. Either way, they have high waiver priority, second in the league. Yeah, Pete thinks we're good at linebacker. I'm not. Linebacker wouldn't be the first position that I would name. The only concern I have is when Bush is out for suspension. So we think the suspension is coming down the line, and then when he's out, if somebody else goes down with an injury, are we relying on, and I know there's some Winston Reed truthers out there, but are we relying on Winston Reed at that point, or Buki Watson, who really shouldn't be on the field? The reason why, and I'm with Pete on this, is why I worry a little bit less about linebackers, because it's just Jason Tarver is an incredible coach. Any news on our safeties? So it's intriguing. I'll tell you this much. I talked about what I saw on Wednesday. I mean, now Delpit wasn't playing on Wednesday. And if you read the article I wrote about it, I go into some great detail about it. But Chris Edmonds is playing a lot of safety. I mean, he barely left the field. Rayshawn Jenkins, I think, becomes a bigger part of this defense with Emerson out. and Newsome going to the outside because Jenkins can be the third safety on the field, play in the box, tackle well, and cover. It's something he's done before as his third safety. So if you're going to go, Mitchell is your true nickel or Harden is your true nickel corner, but we know Schwartz likes to roll three safeties out there, and they can do that. Or, with Harden or Mitchell, whoever wins that spot, and then or they can go three safeties and it can be Jenkins in the nickel, covering the if you're looking at that week potentially playing more tight ends or whatever it is, right? I don't pay attention to the quarterback tracker because I think it's nonsense. Chantel, sorry. Quarterback tracker is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. It's silliness. It's silliness. There's no context to that thing. You don't know what the coach called is looking for on that play. The coach may value an incompletion where the quarterback went through the right reads more than he values a completion because of what the tracker is meaningless. Okay, that's fine. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking to me. I was just commenting. Sorry for getting involved in your conversation there. But yeah, it is. You really shouldn't put too much into the tracker. There's not much to it. Yeah. Facts, DeAndre. No, it's not that stats are a joke. It's just that stats in camp are a joke. Because you're working on so many different things and that there's no context to those stats. Like what he's doing is he's taking 7 on 7s and 11 on 11s, which are two different sessions altogether and should be evaluated differently. Putting them all together, he's taking red zone periods, putting them all together, and then calling things touchdowns and things like that. Well, the only reason some of them were touchdowns is because, they were in a red zone period. I mean, there's just no context to it at all. And that's fine that they want to do that. And, I mean, I get a lot of fans want to see it, right? They want to see the completions, and that's how they evaluate who did well and not. I'm just saying that internally, as someone, Pat Shea, they can't sack the quarterback in practice. How many of those plays would have been called dead due to a sack? Also, though, just like what the quarterback coach and the head coach are looking for in a play. So Gabriel comes out there or Shador comes out there, right? And he calls this play that he'd been talking about for 3 days. And all he wants him to be able to do is get the ball out, 3 to 5 step drop, play, find the first read. If it's not there, you're reading the deep safety and look for the backdoor, the backside dig, right? And that's what we want you to do in like 3 seconds because we know the pressure's coming. And he goes out and does it perfectly, but he throws the backside dig a little bit off ahead of the guy, and it goes as an incompletion. And everybody's goes down as an incompletion in Grossi's notebook and goes on the tracker as an incompletion. But that could be the coach's favorite rep of the day because he got off the first read, got to the second read. The play fake was perfect. His footwork was perfect, and he got the ball out in under 2.5 seconds. He just didn't hit the strike on the last thing. That could be the coach's favorite play of the day. That could be the play that showed the most growth in the entire day, but yet it's an incompletion on the tracker, and everybody's up in arms about that. That's what I mean by there's no context to what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? There's no context to what they're trying to accomplish out there. They're just stats, which mean things differently than in a game. So you're trying to accomplish different things in practice than you are in a game. Yeah, the Commanders. I would be shocked if they trade McLaurin and the crazy stuff today with the Cowboys. You can't help but laugh. I mean, um, their guy wants to trade out now, Micah Parsons, and that's pretty funny. He wrote a long letter on social today. Yeah, Parsons. I don't know what's going to happen there. But I mean, we were in this situation, but boy, Jera, Jera can screw some things up sometimes, can he? Um. Anyways, my main point of this, for what's going on at safety, I'll finish that thought. It's interesting. I don't know. Like for me, they wanted Ronnie Hickman to win this free safety job. We know Delpit's entrenched as the strong safety, but I see them running now with Emerson out and Greg Newsome kicking to the outside, and I think he'll be fine out there. I think that we're gonna see more three safety stuff to combat the amount of reps that you have to give to Cam Mitchell. Unless he's like great right away. My biggest concern in the secondary at this point is not really safety because they have a lot of bodies there that I actually like. It's more of the outside corner depth. So like Denzel tends to miss about 4 games a year. That used to be Greg Newsome who would kick outside and they'd be okay. Now, who is that going to be? Yes. So that's kind of what I'm talking to is that the slide cornerback could be an issue. We have to see how Mitchell takes to it. In the past, I haven't been when he has been called to play in the past. I think he's done a good job in games for the most part. Um, Now he's not the same kind of athlete that Newsome is, or anywhere near the same kind of pedigree that he is. So, um, Miles Harden has missed a couple days for personal reasons, so he hasn't really gotten a chance to get in there, which is why I'm kind of talking more about the three safety stuff because there's a guy on the roster in Rayshawn Jenkins who I know can play nickel if they need him to. So if they go three safeties and they ask Jenkins to play the nickel, we know he can cover. He's done it with other teams for years. So they have options, right? They can go three safeties. They can go three corners. Who steps up? And then I think adding a body to that room would make a lot of sense. They added a body today, a super long corner. I don't know what will be going on. Yeah, I wish they could call McLeod. I wish they could call McLeod. But yeah, that's kind of my point, Chef. If Denzel Ward is out, like he's been known to do, that's exactly what I just said. He misses 3-4 games a year. Who kicks outside? And I don't know at this point. It's UDFAs and a Newseum and a bunch of unproven guys at outside corner. So it could be Mitchell at this point because he's done both. But that's one of the positions like where I would be looking hard at a guy, somebody. I wish they would have signed Mike Hilton before he signed with the Dolphins, but somebody that can do both. That's where Newsome was valuable, right? But what about Douglas? I don't know. Would he sign here? I'm not sure. I would love to have him. Yeah, I would love to have him, Jeffrey. I don't know if he would sign here. I'm not sure. So, but I think that will work itself out because I actually like what they have in the safety room. So I like Donovan McMillan. Chris Edmonds, I'm telling you guys, I've been there twice. This guy is getting a ton of run at safety. I mean, he didn't leave the field on Wednesday when I was there at safety. He ran with the ones, the twos, the threes, and they just kept bringing in other guys to play strong and stuff. So we'll find out. Lamarian James is a UDFA corner who has some talent. Um, Dom Jones is the other UDFA corner who is a huge corner, and I like his physicality. So we'll see what they can. Yeah, Tarver and Banda, see what they both do a great job. You're absolutely right. Let's see what they can do. But I love the safeties they have as far as the veterans and KZ and Jenkins. I like both of them. KZ can cover too. They were using him a little bit and coming up to cover the slot too. So I think like there's different ways to combat the nickel issue. One of them is the three safeties and then using guys like Casey and Jenkins to come up and cover, or it's just playing straight nickel, and that's not dime but nickel, and running Cam Mitchell or Miles Harden out there, or does Lamarian James give them a reason to battle for that position? So these are things that'll sort themselves out. If they don't have a satisfactory answer, I don't see them going out and spending big on the free agent market. Just doesn't feel like that kind of an off season. But certainly at cut downs, I think they will be active to try to upgrade this roster. At quarterback, kind of final thoughts here. At quarterback, listen, Flacco's in ahead. If I personally had to list it, it would go Flacco, Sanders, Gabriel, and I would just do away with Pickett. Obviously, they're not ready to do that yet, but so they will continue. But you can't continue to rep 4 guys, and you can't even continue to really rep 3 guys the way you have evenly. After this joint practice, the direction and format of practice, at least in my opinion, I would expect it to change towards more like a season like practices, right? Where we're preparing for the season now. Cincinnati, here's your starter. He's getting the majority of the reps. Your second guy's getting a couple, and your third guy's getting maybe like 1, right? Like it's kind of how that goes. The format has to change sooner than later. I would expect after the joint practice, which doesn't mean really leave much time for Kenny Pickett to make some immaculate comeback and win this job. I would be shocked. I know Zagura is saying that he's the guy. I guess we'll find out. I'm sure they're trying to trade Pickett. I just don't know who would trade for him at this point. I just don't know what value he brings to the table. I don't know what value he brings, really. I won't put that much on him. Titans, Saints, yeah, I mean, sure, but if they wait, I don't know. It depends on how they view Pickett. Once again, I'm going through the way that I view him, and I'm trying once again not to be biased here. I'm trying to be, go off what we've seen. He's been fine in camp, right? He's been fine in camp. But yeah, I don't know. Let it go. What let what go? Who do I need to let go? Maybe the Lions because they need a backup quarterback. I don't know. I'm not sure what you're telling me to let go. We were just talking about quarterbacks. But I'll let it go. Whatever that is. Yeah, fine is not good enough. That's not what you brought him in to do, right? Um, you brought him in to hope that he would just take off with the new offense and that he could be that reclamation project. And yeah, yeah, you might be right, J Rod. They certainly could just roll through with 4. I think that's a little detrimental, but I mean, if they're trying to play it safe, maybe. Yeah, I'll try my best. I'll try my best. Motorsports. Um, got small hamstrings. I don't. Is that a thing? Interesting. Um, yeah. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that. Like once again, if given enough time, I'll just say this: if given enough time, I mean, I think that you could get Shador ready to start. There's just not enough time. Because they have to pivot towards real life NFL season repetitions. And I think that comes, after this joint practice, which will be a big moment for all of these guys and for the entire roster. The joint practice will be, and then you'll get a week from, is it a week from tonight? I think, yeah, a week from tonight, you're going to get to watch a full half. In my opinion, you're going to get to watch a full half of Shador play live NFL football. I mean, how fun is that, right? I can't wait for that. That would be awesome, right? And you'll get to see a full half of Gabriel and see how he does. So, I can't imagine them playing anybody else but those two in the preseason game next Friday. So, big week coming up. A lot of things changing. Um, I think this is where you see the team kind of transition from camp mode to focus on the season mode. And that means some changes as far as reps goes. Did I get to see the Trey Lance game? No, I didn't. Um, yeah. Uh, I mean, they've been repping 3 young quarterbacks now through mini camp and 2 weeks of training camp, and they will get 3 full, uh, or at least half of the preseason games, with those young quarterbacks. So I think you're going to get plenty of what they are. Think that the coaching staff will get a really good idea of what they have. Um, and then plus they are around them every day. They see them every day in practice. They have a lot more exposure to them than I heard Lance did well. Yeah. Um, the I hate this. The Browns don't like Sanders. Where did this idea come from? Because Haslam said that he didn't think about. It's the stupidest thing. They obviously like him. They're the only team that drafted him. What are we talking about here? So ridiculous. They're the only team that drafted him. Of course they like him. The coaches like him. They keep they're gushing over him every day. It's the dumbest thing ever saying that the Browns don't like Sanders because the owner said that he didn't think about drafting him when he was drafting. He didn't think about it because they already took a quarterback. It wasn't a knock on Sanders. You guys got to stop reading the clickbait, man. Come on. Come on. They've done a really nice job bringing him along, and he's going to get plenty of time to shine, and I think he'll play this season. So, yeah, that's not gonna. You can miss me with this. The Browns don't like Sanders stuff. I think they like him very much. With that, I'm getting out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Things I think I know about the Browns. Big weeks to come. Thanks for hanging out with us. And at the OBR, make sure you get over to theobr.com and read everything going over there. My name is Brad Ward. This has been another edition of Things I Think I Know. Have a great week, everybody.